All right, boys.
Good afternoon, good evening.
Some cunt put
Time of
Titanic music over this. Someday play Titanic over this, or make this go black and white and play it fucking My Heart Was Broken. Oh, fuck's sake, man. Well, to be fair, you got to take the rough with this move, Kev. What about 2018? The last time we'd suffered defeat of that shithole. I was 32. Fucking a distant memory. Does he take any solace in that, Kev?
No, not at all. I'm still raging.
Well, me as well. Right, boys, we have to do it. We might have front up. We're the biggest wanks on the internet when we win. We're going to have to be the biggest wanks on the internet when we get beat. So we have to front up and talk about it.
Which we're
I
consistent.
think we could just class ourselves as the biggest wanks, full stop.
Yep.
Kev, you know fine. We work with each other. You know fine well. My motto is I pride myself on being a wank. It's water off a duck's back.
Sure, that's your pronoun signature at the bottom of your
Okay,
your
that
emails.
is my out of office. That is my out of office. Right, boys. Well, 3 of us, Tam shat it already. There is literally no happy clap in this, so he's sat it out because he's a fucking fat wank. But there we go.
Fucking hell,
So-
straight off.
Well, I'll take all my anger out on Tam because
That's what he's there for.
he's an easy target. That's what you do when you're upset and angry in it. You just lash out at the people you love.
Yep.
So Tam's in for it today, like. Right, we might as well. So thanks to everybody that's joining on YouTube or whatever. Get your questions in. We'll just do a bit of a Q&A. Try and salvage something. Any glimmer of hope? Is there any positivity left for the season? We'll talk about bits of the game on Saturday. Sounds, again, I know the joys of being the victor is that you get to pick the narrative, etc., etc. But I genuinely don't think either team could have had any complaints if that game finished 0-0. But you got to take your chances, and they took theirs, so you have to take it on the chin. And that is not a dig at Lewis and the Ultras, and because he'll be watching. That is not a dig at you. That is just how it is. We'll go over that. We'll answer over these questions. We'll talk about the game on Saturday, and we'll look forward to the dreaded split. Because if we have any chance of salvaging our season, Kev, we're going to have to improve in our form in the split.
Yeah.
So we'll go over all of that. Sound good?
Sure does.
Sounds
Then-
right up my street.
The one thing I will have to say, though, is that I just put a message in the YouTube saying, can everyone hear us? Somebody's come back and said yes, and somebody's come back saying I can't. So, okay, Bobby McBobbin saying all good. So, clearly somebody's on a wind-up. Right, that's fine.
It is now a weekly occurrence of the "Can you hear us?" thing.
It is.
Kev, it's how we start every meeting at work on Zoom. Hey, can you hear me? Can you see me?
Exactly
Turned
that.
it into the podcast.
And then
The joys of live broadcasting.
3-4 minutes in, somebody's on mute. We can't hear them until somebody says you're on.
Sorry, it must have been Dale Cassidy. Everyone's saying sound is spot on. So, cheers for giving me a panic attack there, Dale. I thought I'd bucked it again, but clearly I haven't. So.
Well,
Cheers.
we're just in keep with how everything is going. The eagle-eyed viewers behind us will know that I'm that superstitious that when my home Hearts top thing that was behind me started to slide and became slanted and no straight, it also coincided when Hearts became utter shite. So I've took it off the wall in protest. So when we win on Saturday, you can thank Corbett for finally removing the tops behind us. Hello.
Uh-huh.
Welcome, everybody. This is my story, your unofficial Hearts podcast. As we say, well, actually, the club, they didn't want to be affiliated with anybody, so they're going to care less whether we say we're affiliated to them or not. We're all as big a beamer as each other right now. Should we do any quizzes? Let's ask the folk on YouTube. Should we bother with a quiz? Should we do a Hearts Beamer 11? Have we been beat off a worse Hibs team than that? I don't know. I struggle. I struggle to think, like, at least when they had Neil Lennon and they were beating us and stuff, they at least had a good team. Other than Kevin Nisbet, I don't think any of that Hibs team are worth writing home about, but they would say the same about Hearts, and rightly so, because we were fucking pathetic on Saturday.
What's that? Is it
So-
that their first win in 9 attempts or 10 attempts? Something
9
like
games.
that?
And I've
Right,
told
9 games.
everybody, said it at Easter Road the last time, and I'll fucking say it again. Never sing "Here We Go" 10 in a row ever again. It kills any chance you have of winning in, and it killed Celtics 10 in a row. It killed Hibs 10 in a row, and here we go.
Yeah,
100%.
Fair.
Wholeheartedly agree with you.
absolutely fair.
Cool. Well, any questions so far, Ando?
No, nothing. Just everyone checking on the sound levels. Although Dale Cassidy does say he wants to give you a shout out because unfortunately he lost his job. Corbett reached out to me on Twitter to see how I was and help me out. Ever since he's kept me in good place, even just sending Snapchats, which I basically read
Not
that
your
as
cock again.
dick pics. So well done to you, Corbett. Well done.
Well, my adoring public seem to be enjoying it, and absolutely no hassle, mate. Like I say on Twitter, we're on this shite hole together. We might as well look out for each other. So it's no hassle whatsoever, and it's good to see Dale got a job and back on his feet and all that. So fair play.
Well done, me man. Well
might
done.
as well start with the headlines that happened before the game kicked off. Obviously, I think we'd announced that Stephen Naismith was interim boss until the end of the season in the last podcast, did we?
No, it wasn't. Didn't come out till the Tuesday. You podied on the Sunday night.
Right, so we'll start with Kev because I know that Ando's got some views on this, and I think we share similar views, myself and Ando. So I'll come to you first, Kev. What's your thoughts? Actually, we've not touched base with you since Robbie went. What's your views on all of that situation?
I don't want to say that it was all because I was actually at the club last Sunday and got my photograph taken in the Hearts dugout. That they realised that they couldn't actually have two sexy bastards in the dugout, and they had to sack Nielsen. That's just the way it was, mate.
Two fat wanks in the dugout. So
Sorry, that's what I meant. Sorry, must have came out. You must have heard it differently.
So you would have been there to hear Nathaniel Atkinson tell us that we were to chill out because we were third.
And Keogh was trying to tell us something, but I couldn't understand him.
He talk his shite as he plays football, does he?
Yes. Tam actually said he would pay for my whole night out if I could scud an empty beer bottle off his head and then hit Atkinson as well. Unfortunately, I wasn't drinking beer bottles or beer out of bottles. I was just drinking pints. But I think, at the end of the day, you look at his performances since. Even the Dundee United game that we won, performance wasn't great. I think it goes back fairly long. The actual way in which the team had been playing had been pretty dour. It wasn't exciting. It was get yourself over the line kind of idea, which I think had a bit of a result on the decision taken by the board, because it wasn't just poor results, it was also poor performances, and someone had to give at some point. And I wasn't exactly surprised. And then I wasn't surprised with the announcement on Tuesday that it was going to be Naismith to the end of the season, because I know that's where your question was going. We just need to wait and see what the next 6 games brings us.
No, but you can tell where you're as a club, Andel, when you're invited. The Ultras were invited to be part of the Foundation Day on that Sunday, and Freddie put into the chat to say, "Oh, I'm pure gutted, I'm not going." And folk, you're maybe thinking, "Oh, is that because you want to get your picture taken with the players?" Like I said, "No, Skill, I punch fuck out of Keogh." That sums it up where you're in it. You're not gutted because you're not getting to meet your heroes. You're gutted because you didn't get a butterfuck at them. So I think that sums it all up. And we've spoke back and forth on the group chat about the appointment in Naismith, and my opinion slightly, we're ruining about the same bit. We talked about it last week as well. Did you see anything on Saturday that changes your opinion that it's not the right appointment or decision or whatever you want to call
it? Short answer, no, not really. I was quite curious when I seen his press, his wee press clip. It basically said that what we're going to be doing is bringing attacking, entertaining football that I'm sure the Hearts fans will be happy with. Now that is almost a direct quote. And I'll tell you what, I'm not happy with it at all. I think what I've seen on Saturday, which we'll cover in more depth, no, it's not for me. I didn't see any significant change. And I think when we're talking about the decision, again, not to labour the point because we went through it last week. I thought at the time that it was premature to do it, and I still stand by that. I think all you've done is change the figurehead of an otherwise shit system. Without changing the system itself, nothing's going to improve between now and the end of the season. Not with Naismith in charge.
Well, see, I was very much on that train of thought until I rewatched the game yesterday for some random reason. No, yesterday was Sunday, wasn't it? Because it's Monday today. Yeah. I know, I rewatched it again. And I don't think we played well. I'm not going to pretend that we did, right? I absolutely did not. It felt like fucking Robbie Nielsen had wrote on the whiteboard in permy marker and we couldn't get it off. Because it was the exact same shape, system, the exact same fucking subs as well. I'm pretty sure we made those subs on Saturday when we were losing to St Mirren. Bring on Cochrane, bring on Humphreys, and put on Keogh. Made no difference. But it was a derby. I don't think we would have seen any. Let's be honest, there's never a style of playing a derby. There's never a style of playing a derby.
Difficult one to judge.
It's a battle, etc., etc. What I would say, though, is that what became very evident as the game went on, Kev, was that all the bad habits drilled into them, or all of the lack of confidence or lack of belief in what they were doing, all that just oozed out of them after about 60 minutes, and they just started to take the safe option, the safe pass, make the safe runs, etc., etc., and it killed us.
It did. Even my nephew, he called it. He says, okay, it's maybe a new manager's name on the door, but it was the same names in the team sheet. It was the same formation, same tactics, same result. And at the end of it, same excuses. There was nothing I felt that. I mean, I took 0-0, so I was slightly pissed off at that as well. But I mean, there was just nothing that was any different to what we'd seen for the previous 3 or 4 weeks. And and that's not aimed at Naismith in any way, shape, or form. We had 5-6 days to try and change things. It's not long enough, in my opinion.
Well, Robbie,
it was.
My understanding is Rob took training on the Sunday. The light session on the Sunday. Sorry. The players were off on the Monday. Then the player we were announced because that's what Robbie does. That's the old traditional Monday off, Kev. Then I think the announcement was made on the Tuesday, or was it the Monday afternoon? Whatever it was,
I'm not even
whatever.
sure.
So it would have been.
I think it was rumoured. On the Monday afternoon. It was announced on the Tuesday.
So it would have been Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, potentially. If we were training those days, so yeah, he's not had much time to play with shape and formations and all that sort of stuff. But to be honest with you, I did see, you're right, it was the same shape, same formation, same idea. Although we did it slightly faster than what we've been doing it in the past, however many weeks or whatever. We actually got. No, none of you will probably have the appetite to rewatch it, right? But first 20, 25 minutes, we actually played okay right up until the final third. Then we just overplayed it in the final thirds. You watch Hearts warm up before the game, right? They have Kingsley and Mackay on one side, Forrest and is it Kingsley? Forrest and Smith on the other, and Shankland and Humphreys running into the middle, and they play like Barry Mackay slide in Smith, and Smith cuts it back, and it was Devlin and Grant trying to score, or Shankland and Humphreys trying to score, and then they went out to the other side, and it was like they were just practicing cutbacks. That is all we did in the first half, was get into great positions, get Barry Mackay overlapped, get Kingsley overlapped, get Forrest overlapped, Smith overlap or Atkinson when he came on, and cutting the ball back into the box to Nebdy. And it was like, we only play one up front. So if you're playing out on the wing between Grant, Mackay, and Kingsley, who's in the middle? One person. Like, so you either have to find them with a inch perfect pass, or you have to try something different. And the amount of times that we watched Alan Forrest run along the 18-yard box to pass it to Barry Mackay on his side, for Barry Mackay to then run along the 18-yard box, pass it back to Alan Forrest on the other wing. And it was like, Barry Mackay, just shoot, please, for the love of God, just fucking shoot. Like, it is easier for you to shoot than it is for you to try a no-look reverse slide ball into Shanklin. Like, just ping it. It could get a deflection, it could hit somebody's arse, it could hang with. So, I think we played okay. Not brilliant. I don't think Hibs played great either. I think Hibs grew into the game, probably, as the game went on. And then when they scored, that was it. It was job done for them. They kind of sat back and looked to hit us on the counter-attack, knowing fine well, and rightly so, that we just can't break down teams. We couldn't break them down when it was a little bit open. The chances of breaking it down when it was 2 back fives or whatever wasn't happening. Do you know what I mean? So I agree, Ando. I do agree in terms of I'm not 100% sold in the Naismith situation. I understand why they've done it, but they definitely had to get rid of Robbie. 100%. Like I think Robbie in the dugout would have made no difference on Saturday, if I'm being brutally honest with you. This is the game, this Saturday at home to Ross County, is where I would fully expect to see a reaction. If we don't see a reaction on Saturday, then press the fucking panic button, because we are in real danger of finishing sixth if we don't get a reaction. If we don't get a reaction on fucking Saturday. Anything on chat, Ando?
So there was one, I'm trying to find who it was that said it, so apologies, you're not going to get the credit for it because there's quite a lot of comments in here, but basically, just to your point, which was, do you reckon this was like working on the principle of you get one for free, right? This is a free hit, it was the same team, same tactics, same shape, same shooting match. You go into a game at Easter Road thinking that probably gives you a little bit of security, but whoever it was, and sorry I can't find you, has basically said, to your point, are we going to see wholesale changes for Saturday? Because this is the game that you need to start picking up points in. So that was a fair enough question.
Well, might as well. We can jump the gun a wee bit, but since it's been asked, Kev, what do you make any changes for Saturday? How would you approach Saturday?
I don't think I would make any changes. I think when I've seen the team on Saturday, mid-morning, whatever, I was actually quite happy with that team. On paper, I don't think there was much else you could have actually done, with the exception of maybe dropping Forrest and having Humphreys up front with Shanklin and actually playing a proper 4-4-2. And I don't know, again...
4-4-2, you kickback cunt.
No, I don't actually. A 4-2-3-1 would be my preferred option. But anyway, but also what I was going to say is I don't know if having to take the early substitution of Smith has maybe had a bit of an impact on that. Again, everybody gets on Atkinson's back, but I think we've got to remember that Atkinson is actually a midfielder rather than a right back. He's not actually a dedicated right back. When he played for Melbourne City or whoever it was, he played in a cup final, played in midfield and scored a hat-trick. So,
if you're a dedicated right back, is that what you're changing the words, Terry?
Aye.
He was just a fucking...
If you're a dedicated right back, can you let us know who you are so we can get you signed on a contract?
His hair. He's like the fucking Australian Neil McFarlane. What is that hair?
It defies physics.
It's so bad, man. It's so bad. He's got like a mullet, weird thing happening. Just shave it off or fucking get to Portugal with Robbie and get it fucking fixed. I actually thought when Axton came on, the first 10-15 minutes of him being on the park, he actually did quite well. But he just died. Yeah. He just died at the game.
But that's fitness, isn't it? That's why they should have had last Monday off.
Fucking tell me about it. You should have 10 fucking days off during the international break, is what we should be talking about. But there we go. Ando, yourself, would you making any changes, or do you expect wholesale changes? We'll talk about who will play when we come up to preview Ross County, but are you expecting wholesale changes?
No, I don't think so, because that, again, is just going to bring in too much uncertainty. But then I think if you are going to do it, you'll get away with doing it against Ross County. Not to be the touch of death, but let's be honest. I know what you're doing, Kev. I know what you're doing. It's looking up at the stars and taking a deep breath. Don't worry, I'm not going to say it, but let's be reasonable. If you are going to try something new, do it against Ross County. They're not clever enough to fucking.
You aren't coming on Saturday,
no,
are you?
I'm not, mate. No,
I
have decided that I have still rage quit. I put all sorts of shit.
Your ticket, stay the right.
Exactly. I'm fucking burning my season ticket. I'm fucking doing this. I'm doing that. I'm going to do none of that because I'm a shite bag. When it comes to.
Well, burn the plastic and sniff it. You might get a better high than watching Hearts.
Fair. Yeah, so I don't think there's going to be sweeping changes. I think there might be one or two little bits and bobs, but that'll be it.
Same. Do you know, I said last week and I stand by it this week, if the rumours of the discontent in the background are as true as what people are making out, I would literally pick your strongest 11, 5 subs and tell everyone else to go. And we'll see you later. We'll see you next year or whatever, and just make it the smallest group that we have. I'd probably bring Gino back in. I'd maybe put Haring in for Halliday, and that would be it. Sorry, the fucking elephant in the room. Kingsley can get to fuck as well. Alex Cochrane would play left back, and Stephen Kingsley can sit in a dark room until he learns how to play football again.
I know what's
because he's absolute murder. So that would be the only changes I can see. Again. You're allowed 5 substitutions, right? I've not just made that up. That's still a rule, isn't
it? 5 subs, but it has to be done in 3 substitution events.
So Atkinson came on first half.
Yep.
Mikey Smith. Then Halliday and Forrest went off for Cochrane and Keogh.
Triple sub. Is it not a triple sub then? Took Grant off as well.
Give me a minute, I'll tell you.
And for Humphreys. So we never used all our subs, but we only did it twice.
I'm going to tell you right now because I'm on fucking what do you call it?
Well, anyway,
BBC's site.
you deep dive and look. What I liked, Kev,
there's only 4 subs.
But I knew that. But when did it tell you when they were brought on?
Atkinson came on for Smith in 5 minutes. Cochrane and Keogh came on for Halliday and Grant on 74. But before that, Humphreys came on for Forrest on 62.
Right. I thought genuinely in the opening 10-15 minutes, I was thinking, well, this is different because Kingsley was having an absolute stinker and Naismith had Cochrane out warming up, right? Sounds totally innocuous, but he is left, we're shooting down the hill. Hearts players warm up on that left-hand side. Like Kingsley 100% would have seen Cochrane being sent out to warm up, and I thought, Loftus, you're going to have the balls to take Kingsley off 20 minutes into a derby because he's been fucking shocking. And then we didn't. We shat it. I thought I'm all for this. I'm all for this if this is how Hearts are going to go, but then it never really happened. So I am with you, Ando. Don't think there'll be wholesale changes, and I don't think it's right either. I've said before, I know Naismith said it in some of his press things about bleeding youngsters. No. Now's not the chance. Now's not the time. If by 25 minutes into the game on Saturday, there's been no reaction, no tempo, no performance, and no goals, Tynecastle will be fucking toxic. Mm-hmm. So you're not chucking young boys out there. It'll absolutely kill them.
They'll just die off. Cheers to Basecom 77. That was the question, so you're getting your credit now. One question, bit of a sidebar. I didn't know about this because it's caught my attention, but AZ Teckle. Any thoughts? Don't really get that, but does that mean something?
I don't know. Maybe in the world of YouTube it does.
Maybe they're a big deal, AZ. Right, but he's asking any thoughts on Hills like on Instagram. Apparently liked a Hibs post or something? Question mark. You know what? That shit shouldn't bother me, but I don't know why it does.
He's as shite on Instagram as is on a football pitch. It doesn't shock. It doesn't shock me. It makes no difference to me, mate.
Some other stuff, basically just commenting along with what we're saying. Unless we throw some Vlad level money at it, we're only ever going to be slightly better than the competition. We're only one game into Nielsen's tenure. Naismith's tenure. Give him a break. Blah blah blah. And then there's loads of
agree.
chats.
I kind of disagree with that statement, if I'm honest with you. I don't think.
Let's go.
I think a good manager or a better manager than Robbie would have had us. It should be Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, then fucking everybody else. But we've created this. We've created this by ourselves. We've let a 10-point lead evaporate in the space of 5 games, and that's shocking. And again, like we said last week, and I'll reiterate the point again, when folk that sit in the stand can see it and know how to set up to play against us and know how to beat us, then semi-competent managers, even in a shite league, will be able to outsmart you and will eventually catch up on how easy it is to play against Hearts. So I kind of agree. And to be honest with you, in terms of the Premier League, we have spent Vlad type money for a club like Hearts.
No.
We spent about £2.5 million on players. Aberdeen haven't spent those fees. We've spent about £600,000 on Shankland. We spent £400,000 or £300,000 on Rose, Cochrane, Grant, Keogh.
No.
Like, we've spent money. It's not acceptable. A better manager should have had us in a much, much better position than the one we're in right now. Kev?
You just spoke earlier now about if you can't see it in the dugout and a guy can see it in the stands, and about how the way in which we played. One of the other, of course, big talking points from the headlines of last week was Snodgrass. Are we all in agreement that it was the right move? I am.
Yeah.
I think.
No covered
of course,
that.
that happened
to bin Snodgrass.
Right.
Well,
I've not heard you. You've not actually mentioned much of it about it in the group chat, which I was surprised at.
Well, I don't want to go all. Let's revert back to fucking episode 90, where I said my biggest fear for Robert Snodgrass was that he was going to turn into a Stephen Naismith type character from the Levine days. Now, what I mean by that is somebody that's played at the highest level, has got high standards, knows what to expect, etc., becomes moany on the pitch, and just sucks the confidence in life out of absolutely everybody round about him. If you can't move forward without the ball going to Snodgrass, and that's exactly what's happened. In terms of all the other stuff behind the scenes, who knows? This happens all the time. I'm sure when Neil Lennon left Celtic after he made a cunt of 10 in a row, it was filled with rumours and stories about him falling out with players and Scott Brown and now Cal McGregor and fighting folk, and it's just what happens, Kevin, when things aren't going well and a manager loses their job.
And the paper needs to settle issues.
Yep.
Aye. Well, I would like to address that. Someone the day of my work said, "Oh, have you seen Keith Jackson was was having a pop at Hearts or whatever, saying that whoever's in Anne Budge's ear needs to be sacked or whatever." And I'm like, well, one, I can't even get annoyed at that, because if you'd even paid any slight attention to Hearts in the past 2 years, would know that Anne Budge doesn't make the decisions at Hearts anymore. She hasn't since the foundation of Hearts took over. So again, it just shows you how little anybody actually pays to Hearts, and the only reason that folk are even looking at us right now is because even though we've been screaming about it for the fucking rooftops for about 12 months, that we've been shite, and now suddenly folk are like, here, Hearts are shite. I'm like, I know. We were shite in 20. I was trying to think about it actually, Nando. It's one maybe we can pull to put on Twitter. But for like the 1st of January 2022 to the 31st of December 2022, I think we were terrible. I think our stats during that time will have been absolute rubbish. I think we were on a good run going into the top 6, as we spoke about at length. But from the top 6, for the split last year till now, we have been on a downward trajectory. We've been absolutely dug meat.
Be easy enough to pull.
I think we've
So-
been on a downward trajectory since beating Hibs 2-1 in the semi-final of the Scottish Cup last season, and that was the weekend there.
Aye,
So
I
it's
would
about
agree.
a
I
year
think
we've been an absolute push.
I've said it before, and it was something that killed Robbie in this first spell. It's killed him again this time. Is that whole we've done our job, we've finished, because by beating Hibs in that semi, we obviously got to the final, but we secured third in group stage football. So that was it, done and dusted. Like the season was finished. We were now just in hibernation to the cup final, and we couldn't kickstart ourselves. We just couldn't get going. And we've been, I agree, Kev, we've been hungover since, and we need somebody to come in and shake the place up. Now, the counter argument to that is, as an inexperienced manager who was looking after the B team, alongside one of the coaches that was overseeing and doing the day-to-day training of the mess that we've just seen still there, is that genuinely the shake-up that we think it is? I don't know. Ando's made his points pretty clear on that, and I don't know. I find it hard to argue against.
I agree. I think that's a real strange decision. I know again it's all rumour and stories and everything else that the players quite like Gordon Forrest and the way in which he does his training sessions and everyone else. Well, that's fine, but I've got a funny feeling that there's plenty of other coaches out there, possibly either in a job or out of a job, that can do just as good a session, just as enjoyable a session, but actually makes a better impact on the pitch on a Saturday afternoon.
And I don't know if we've spoke about it for a while, but I like to go back to, and if you can remember incarnation one of Robbie, remember like in the press, he would talk about we were doing triple sessions. The players were in for the breakfast, they would train, they'd stay for the lunch, then they would come and do a nighttime session as well. And we absolutely romped the champ that year because we were fitter, stronger than absolutely everybody. Robbie used to, if we were playing Hamilton on the Saturday on a plastic pitch, he'd rent the pitch off them and we'd go train, because you can do all that. He'd go rent it and we'd train on the plastic pitch before we played them. If we had Willie Collum as a ref, he'd train and tell everybody we'd be training all week with 10 men. All that stuff seems to have gone, doesn't it? You know what I mean? You get the traditional Monday off has come back, and we just, I don't know, we just seem a bit of a shambles right now.
It's interesting actually, because I think this is something that when we went down into the championship, it's like there was a proper like, oh shit, right, we really need to buck up the ideas here, right? But see, since we've come back up this time, I don't know if he's just like, if he's been reading some sort of new age management strategy book or some pish like that, where he's just said, right, actually, you'll softly catch the monkey. It's like, I'm just going to mollycoddle everybody now. That's what it feels like. It's like when we went down the last time, as you were saying, it was all like proper death and glory. The sort of bloodlust that they had about them, but that's all just evaporated, and they're so soft. You could see that, especially in the first half against Hibs. It's like they were going into challenges, right, and they're just getting pushed off. Like they just bounce off other players. There's not a solid one among them, and I think they need to get back to that. Like sort of two or three sessions a day. Maybe not obviously just doing fitness or whatever, but get them in the fucking gym. I want some like hard piping players there that can actually fight and win a ball.
See, I rewatched the game for things like that, because my dad kept saying things like that at the game and stuff as well, that we were easily brushed off it. And I never seen it at the game. I didn't think, and I said it to my Hibs mates today working at it as well, because they were like, they'd played like vintage Barcelona and absolutely battered them. And I was like, I just, maybe it's just because I'm bitter and or whatever, but I genuinely didn't see any. I was honestly shocked that Jake Doyle Hayes got a standing ovation when he went off, because I thought, what the fuck? Why are you clapping him? He was fucking murder. He was absolutely terrible. But so was Cammy Devlin, so was Andy Halliday. I think the game completely and utterly bypassed midfield. So again, Kev, am I being mad? Did you feel like that at the game as well? That we were soft as shite.
Well, I think there's a bit of an there is definitely something there with what Ando says. I thought Raul's, I think he sometimes gets brushed off very easily. There was a couple of 50-50s that up against Nisbet. I generally think he should have won the header. Should be a lot stronger. So there is elements like that. But what I will say
Do you know he
is,
was the best defender on the park? I think he only lost one duel or something like that on paper.
I think you need to
But I
go.
was the same when I read it. I thought, what? I thought he was fucking terrible
Aye,
on Saturday.
I would be asking questions about the person who's giving you that particular stat, because I thought he was. I think he's great. He's great with the ball at his feet, and he does want to move the ball forward. But sometimes think he's very, very soft in the air. That was never evident more in the games against Dundee United when Fletcher just bosses him every single time. And I know that Fletcher's that kind of character. Fletcher will have a great day against majority of centre halves in the Scottish Premier League. But I do think he just needs to be a wee bit more wise and have a wee bit more strength about him. But that's something that comes. I mean, you've got to remember he's still only played 25, 30 games for Hearts. He's not played a lot of games in Scottish football because of his injury before the World Cup. So there is that. I think I wholeheartedly agree with you that the midfield on both sides were just missing. I don't think there was a great deal of action at all in the midfield. But one thing that did notice was, did you notice Barry Mackay didn't have as much of a Roman position on the pitch? He was told to
And
stick
that's
out.
why he was a fucking miserable bastard
That's
who
fine.
just
I don't have a problem with being a
moped about
miserable
the
bastard if
pitch.
he just stays out there and actually does what you, as you say,
Right.
come in, take a shot. Then they come in and try and make a slide rule pass through three folks' legs. Just be a bit more offensive.
He was sulking. He got done with the boy. And this again, Hibs made the exact same mistake as Hearts did on this. And at the time, I thought, who is in the dugouts for either of these teams? Because that Egan Riley got booked very, very early doors. And Barry Mackay had him beat every single time he got the ball. And we stopped giving him the ball. We stopped getting the ball to Barry Mackay and letting Barry Mackay run at him. We just stopped doing it. We did it none in the second half, even when Chris Cadden got booked, who was on that side. So both their players on that side of the park are on a booking, and we literally did nothing to get the ball over there. And they were the same. Kingsley got booked, didn't he? I think Kingsley got booked, and Johan had him on toast, and Hibs stopped getting the ball.
There was a couple of times that Johan had his cell on toast, so you got to remember that as well, though, mate. The one where he took his cell out was absolutely prime. I thought that was absolutely brilliant.
It was again. Look, Andrew, right? Devil's advocate. I was actually thinking about this as I watched the game, and Rouse is a good example of this as well because he's looked nothing like the player that we think he can be without Halkett. But actually, look through what made Hearts so good last season in spells was Craig Gordon, Halkett, Kingsley, Benny, Devlin,
Cochrane,
Mackay. Like the core of the team, the spine of the team had solid players all the way through it that had been at the club for a while, knew what it was to play for the club. You added Mikey Smith in there, etc., etc. And it helped, Haring helped Devlin or Benny when he came in and get established and all that sort of stuff. Liam Boyce up front or in the 10 helping link play with your Barry Mackays or your Genos or whoever. And now you look through it, you've got Xander Clark completely on your goalkeeper. Yep. A good goalkeeper as well, by the way, that's no hangway. You've got Rowles and Sibic both going through confidence crises and all that sort of stuff. The midfield, we just can't get the balance right.
No.
In the midfield, you've got Shankland up front there, but again, there's no number 10. We haven't had a number 10 for ages. We've really struggled to replace Boyce in that bit. So I think someone said it to me in the game. We've got away with it for ages. Like we genuinely have. We've managed to get the results without the performances, and I think it just feels like it's kind of all just caught up with us now, doesn't it?
It does a wee bit, aye. It's like it's kind of like it's like the rising damp or the slow leak, and the eventually that's it. It's just like it's fucking shit. Right, we're gonna have to do a serious repair job here. But and if I get that whole thing, I mean, Mikey, I said this in the group chat as well, is that Mikey Stewart always goes on about this, which is if you look at the amount of injuries that Hearts have got, our injured list could probably challenge for third place on its own. or at least go up against the team that we've got left for third place. It would certainly be smashing everybody left, right, and centre, and it's just a sad indictment of where we find ourselves. But I do think you're right. It has been sneaking up on us for a wee bit, and now it's
I bet that ginger wank doesn't point out that actually, at what point do you start questioning the managers or the training or whatever it is? Because you can't have that level of injuries constantly, muscle tears, etc., before you have to start questioning what are they doing at training. Is it not intense enough? Well, by the sounds of it, it seems behind the scenes that they're maybe not as intense as what we should be.
Monday off.
And then you come to a Saturday game, and suddenly when you're asked to give 100%, you're asked to go full throttle, you're pulling up. Like Mikey Smith, what had he done, a hamstring or something? Because all he did was stretch and cut about, and he's tore a hamstring.
Part of that might be his age, and I think he's got a natural. I think he's probably got a weakness there, if I'm honest. But it's the same thing. It's like if you're not warming up properly, I mean, like it's not going to be that. But I think it is just probably the intensity in the training. It just needs to be there. But you have to stop it short of going up the sand dunes again, though.
No, aye, but you look at Callum McGregor, right, at Celtic. I would bet that he's played 40 plus games this season.
Easy.
Every week he's there, every week, and he's playing at 100%, giving you 100%, playing at 100 miles an hour, doesn't get injured. Craig Taylor, like you look at Celtic again. I've said it before, and this is what annoys me, right? Is Celtic are good because not only do they have quality where they can bring people in that can do the basics or whatever, but they do the non-negotiables better than everybody else. All the stuff that doesn't take talent. I would guarantee you right now, if we were to bring up the stats for the Premier League, Celtic run longer, faster, more sprints. They will top the charts of all of that stuff. You don't have to be talented to run as fast as you can. To run until you can't run anymore. There was a bit in the second half. Hearts were breaking. Humphreys had the ball on the right hand side. We were 3-on-3, and I looked over, and Barry Mackay was jogging. Not in the slightest bit interested in keeping up with play or getting in at the back post or anything. He was just jogging. And I think you're telling me that he's playing at the absolute top of his ability, that he's giving you every single thing that he has. When he comes off, he's fucked because he's ran himself into the ground. Absolutely not a chance. Absolutely not a chance. Someone did, so the Snodgrass thing as well, I don't know. I did giggle to myself the other day because it does feel very much like, what was that guy fighting with his wife? Who did I end up fighting with his wife? Glenn Whelan.
That's it.
Glenn Whelan. It does feel like, I remember she was saying, we don't live in a flat, we live in Edinburgh. It's like, no you don't. No you don't. I'm on the same flight to you every Sunday heading back to Manchester. You don't stay in Edinburgh, don't talk shite. But it does feel very similar to that. Any questions or anything?
There's an interesting one here from David Young saying, let's get Corbett or Ando in the dugout. ... Just so we can boo you.
You can boo me. Boo me.
Dale Cassidy saying, boo them in the dugout. Think they would put the players right up the farter to get the fans' voice heard. Haha. I completely agree with you, Dale Cassidy. That's absolutely right. I'd be as good a football manager as I was be as good as being a TV presenter, right? I would last 5 minutes, maybe not even that, before I fucking say something that's completely terminal and ruins my image and career forever. Well, exactly. But if I was being put in these positions, I'd like to think that I did have one. I couldn't be on live TV. I'd say something bad. And similarly, I couldn't manage a football team because I would just end up shooting them all. I'd lose my fucking patience with them.
Well, you've got about as much football knowledge as Robbie Nielsen has anyway, so you can't do much worse than that.
I'll take that. Anything else?
If there are any other questions. to think of anything else that I want to even fucking talk about. I hate Hearts.
It's just it's common themes. We've Dave McGee saying we've ridden our luck for far too long. We haven't had a midfield in 4 years. Needs to be addressed in the close season.
Agree.
Why are we talking about Naismith as if he's been handed a 5-year deal? No need to rush the decision. The season is a write-off anyway. No, it doesn't have to be though.
That's interesting.
It
No,
doesn't
exactly.
have to be.
I'd also like to hope that we've got at least an eye on possible managers to come in early in the close season rather than coming in like we sometimes do with bloody players. That's one thing that I'm concerned about.
Aye. Whoever we decide, that it'll mainly be driven by where we finish in the league, innit? Because you finish third, you can shop for the top shelf, so to speak. In terms of managers that are available and know what to come in with guaranteed group stage football. If we don't and we fail, then who wants to come in and pick that up? Do you know what I mean? If we finish fourth, for example, we're back middle of July or something to play some team for Ireland or Latvia or something like that in the pre-qualifier for the qualifiers for the Europa Conference.
Mm-hmm.
Your season starts months before everybody else's.
Start of July.
And again, you'll be like, Motherwell, you get beat by Sligo or whoever it was because you've not played any football and you're already off to a terrible start. So the season, I have some optimism, right? I'm totally going to go left field here, right? And just, I have no idea why. Maybe I'm just that angry I've become delirious. Who knows? But the day I was looking at stuff for the pod, was looking at Aberdeen's fixtures, our fixtures, right? So 5 points behind Aberdeen currently. Aberdeen have got 6 games left to play. 50% of their games are against the Old Firm. They have to play 3 games against the Old Firm. Their 4th game they have to play against us. So realistically, they've got 2 games where they kind of could potentially be guaranteed victories. Now, that all goes out the window if they beat the Old Firm. If they pick up anything against the Old Firm, we're fucked because we're not going to.
No, 100%
we're not going to. We are absolutely guaranteed 3 home games in the split. One of them is against Celtic. One of them will be against Aberdeen. The other will be against Livingston or Hibs, depending on how that finishes. And the other away games are obviously Ibrox and St Mirren. Now, I'll stand by saying that any team that says they want to finish third in the league has to go to St Mirren and win. They just do. Like, you can't. You don't deserve to finish third if you can't go to Paisley and win. So, when I was looking at that and trying to figure out permutations of how it all worked, it made me slightly more enthusiastic than I am right now. But the caveat to that, Kev, is Hearts have to win on Saturday. If Hearts don't win on Saturday, shut up shop, shake whoever's hand we have to and say we'll happily finish 6 right now because we'll do nothing. We'll do absolutely nothing.
No, and that's been our, when I say our worry, I mean the guys here. That's been our worry for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Well before the decision was taken to get rid of Nielsen, we were concerned that come the split we would do absolutely hee-haw. We would not. We'd be sitting here now looking at the teams that you could possibly play in those 5 games. If the top 6 was to end as it is just now, you'd probably think you'd maybe pick up points against Hibs and maybe one other. The way things are just now.
Aye, well, we got to win on Saturday and then put some pressure on Aberdeen to do something versus Rangers. Now, the worry is that St Mirren nearly got an off Rangers on Saturday. Rangers season is finished. And all bar the semi-final for them. So you got to think that if you're going to take points off any of the Old Firm, it's probably going to more likely be Rangers. But we've got to do the thing on Saturday. We've got to win on Saturday first and hope and see where we go from there. I reckon that because, again, I was looking for the whole Sky TV thing and all that sort of stuff, we've got 1 game left for Tynecastle, don't we? I know we're playing Ross County on the telly on Saturday. Whoever the fuck decided that needs sacked, but I'm sure we have one more after that.
I don't know. I need to check. I can check real quick, but yeah, that feels about right.
But my thinking is, if Rangers win on Sunday, then it keeps Celtic 12 points in front of Rangers, right? Which then means that if Celtic pick up any points in their fight in the first game of the split, they'll be champions. So they're not going to play. They'll not be at home for that game. They'll likely be away because of it is because they'll play their last home game of the season will be the last game of the season, so they can get the trophy, so it can be on TV, etc., etc. So the reason I'm saying that is my thinking is I probably think Aberdeen will play Rangers back to back. They'll play Rangers on Sunday as the last game pre-split, and then they'll play Rangers first game post-split, and I think we'll get Celtic at Tynecastle. So that was my thinking in terms of how we claw points back or whatever, because again, the fear is that we get a double dunter versus the Old Firm. So if you play Rangers and Celtic back to back, we could be 11 points behind with 12 to play, and then hoping that Aberdeen lose all 3 remaining games or whatever. So I'm slightly more optimistic about it for some fucking random reason. Like I said, I might just be delirious with rage.
I was going to say, that worries me. You being confident and you being optimistic is something I'm not used to.
I never said confident, Kev. I said weirdly optimistic. Maybe it's because I enjoy being so angry that when we don't do anything that I've just said, I can be apoplectic and I can blame. I can start digging into who is the dinner lady at Rickerton, who is in charge of the kit. Like I can just go start pulling out stats to say that the kit man has never won a game at Easter Road in 17 years, or like I can, I like to go down these rabbit holes when we're
You'll make the narrative fit.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. Like all good broadcasters do.
There's a comment that's just caught my attention from Mary Dalglish, highlighting my derby with seeing Corbett. Love emoji. So well done, whoever that is. You
should have came and said hello.
Aye.
You should have came and said hello. Yeah, if you clearly never seen me in the stadium because I hid behind the person in front of me and stared at my shoes for almost 90 minutes.
Standard Corbett.
Partly the reason why I re-watched the game yesterday.
This bit always just gets me, right. It's like because like I've had the pleasure of your company at a lot of games, right, and a lot of big ones, and you've been sat next to me. Parker hood up or whatever it is, the top of your head. You haven't looked up in half an hour. You're like peeking through whenever there's a wee. Oh, what happened? Oh, no, I can't look. That's it, right? And what the fuck, man? It's like it's a lot of money. It's a lot of superstition. It's just it's a sight to behold. And I think I've got quite a lot of footage on my camera roll of viewing various states of mental torture. It's
mental that I find tiny little gaps in these places to watch the game through my thing like that, and then can be like bounce up out of nowhere to be like, where the fuck's nobody tracking that runner? My dad's like, how did you even see that? You get your hood up, and you're jumping out of your face. And I'm like, just because I'm no watching doesn't mean I can't see. But and Saturday was absolutely no exception to that. I think the boys I was with, obviously I was looking, it was a set piece, so I wasn't watching because I knew one of these times we're going to concede because we concede from set plays or second phases of play every week. So as soon as Nesbitt scored, I was like, why is he no for this runner? Why is he done that? Like,
it's like an ESP thing that you've got. And it's like you just visualize what's happening like the radar in your head. And it's usually all shite, so it's not difficult to get wrong.
Kev, one of the recurring themes from Saturday as well is, I don't know, was it the Broken Hearts podcast? The boys on that. We need the person to start counting corners again. Because I don't think, now someone can correct me, I don't think Hearts have scored directly from a corner since Riles headed in against Dundee United and got slide tackled. 4th game of the season or something like that.
That was the one he got injured. I'll get in touch with Neil and I'll get Neil starting counting corners once again to understand where we're sitting at this moment in time.
Because I'm pretty sure that will be when it was, because I can't think of another corner that we've scored directly for since then. And we don't even look like scoring for corners. Did Halliday score for a corner against Motherwell?
No, maybe.
Was that a header for a corner?
Well, he scored 2 headers like in consecutive games, didn't he?
Aye, were they
He
both
scored
for
headers
corners?
in
Ross County corner.
maybe. Aye.
And well, anyway, it's been ages since we score for a corner. We are so terrible at it. It's an absolute joke. Right, we've had doom and gloom for ages. We might as well depress ourselves even more and look forward to Saturday, because there's nothing unless anybody else wants to talk about something for the derby, because I certainly don't.
No, we've paid it enough attention.
I know you would have been in well early, Corbett, but one thing I do want to call out is the absolute shambles of actually trying to get into Easter Road before the game. It's been the same for God knows how many months, years. That needs to get looked at. Simple as that.
I picked off at 12:15. I was in the stadium for about 11:10 or something. I made like we were outside Middleton's and I made everybody leave because I was like, fucking 25 minutes to kick off or something. We need to get to the ground, and then got to the ground and was like, why does it say 12:30 on my ticket? It was a 12:30 kick-off. Super duper. So I was like, me and the stewards were like the only people in the stadium. But aye.
You in before the boy Jay Allen then? I mean, he was there must have been about 10:30. So the two of you maybe walked in together.
Aye, maybe. It took me ages to think about who you were talking about there. I had no idea what you were talking about. I was like, sound Kev, no bother me. Saturday, so obviously spoke about their last home game pre-split, etc., against Ross County. Give me your starting 11, Kev.
Given the fact that we need to score goals, and I hope that I thought Humphreys didn't look that interested on Saturday. If I'm honest, don't know if it was because he thought he was maybe going to get a start. I don't know. A couple of times he took his eye off the ball. Ball goes underneath his foot. Tries to control it. Ball goes out the park for a throw-in.
I actually thought he tried too hard. I think it was. I think it was the opposite. I think he was probably trying way too hard when he came on and just made an absolute cheesy it.
To me. It was. Yeah, I can get where you're coming from. I just thought he just didn't have his eye on it, or whatever the case may be for the actual game. But he wasn't the only one. We've talked about that already. But I would start him on Saturday at the expense of Forest. If I'm honest, I think there's
the Forest. I hate the Forest. I hate it. But if you're telling me that Barry Mackay better be dropping out your team,
correct. Mackay has to drop out as well. And I know we've spoken about the fact that didn't bring any of the young laddies in and exposed them to that. I wouldn't mind seeing one of the young lads, be it Oda, be it Gould, be it somebody like that, on that wing, bit of pace about them. They seem to have a bit of pace. Or we've got Giannelli back, and again, you bring Giannelli into the wing. It just depends on injuries. But my two players to effectively drop out of that team would definitely be the two wingers, Forrest and Mackay. And then, as I say, you can fill that with a Cool, an Oda, Humphreys, Giannelli, whoever it may be. And in midfield, I think Devlin actually had a no bad game. He got booked for something that was just, in my opinion, absolutely ridiculous. But hey, it was John Beaton. And I wouldn't have a problem with seeing Haring come in. We could look at where we were, early part of last season, where you had either Haring and Devlin, or you had Haring and Benny, or you had Benny and Devlin. If we want to go back to that formation, and that formation that worked for us, I said this a few weeks back, why did we bother changing to a back three when the 4-3-2-1, 4-2-3-1 formation worked for us? But I know that's, again, guys like Boyce being in there helps that sort of position and that sort of setup. and we haven't been able to replace Boyce. Maybe folk will get off Boyce's back when he comes back and doesn't actually score goals.
Aye. I would. Is Gino injured? Has he been injured? What's up with Gino?
So
Don't
that
actually know.
was the story anyway. He was the story before the St Mirren game. He was injured, and I must admit I didn't see any of any footage or any photographs of him training in the run up to the St Mirren game, and he definitely wasn't training in the run up to Saturdays.
Oh well. Right. Geez, your score predictions in.
Well, I think we've already spoken about it. We've already touched on it. We have to win. There's that guy at Ross County that always scores against
Jordan
us.
White.
Jordan
Never
White.
scores against anybody else.
Jordan White.
The hell with him. So he'll score. So it has to be a 2-1.
Yeah, I agree. Ando, what about your team?
Kingsley's in the bin. Cochrane comes in. I like.
Rhyme.
Why?
Nice
I
rhyme
agree
as
with that.
well.
You what? Sorry.
That was a nice rhyme. I enjoyed it.
And totally by accident because I have not musical talent at all in anywhere in this body. What was the other one? Halliday, take him out, put Haring in. I know I'm stealing that off somebody, so it feels like a lazy answer, but I do like that. I think Haring, whenever he comes on, he's just. We've not had him for so long. I want to see what he can bring back to the team. So I think he, as long as he's fit enough, and he's not any risk or whatever, then get him starting. After that, if Gino's available, play him and take whoever the fuck, Forrester.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Either one of the two. Don't care. Couldn't care. But Ginelli better suited on the right, isn't he? So we'd like to get Forrest off. But that leaves you in a quandary. What do you do with Baza Mackay? Do you keep him there and continue to let him fail? Or I don't know. I can't make up my mind because when he is brilliant, he's brilliant. We've just not seen it enough recently. I'm tempted to just say to him, like, listen, son, you're drinking in the last chance saloon. A big performance. Shoot as soon as you get even a sniff or a sight at goal, and we'll see what your application's like. But if he doesn't turn up on Saturday, he needs an extended period out to go and have a long, hard fucking look at himself.
I would agree. Right, what's your score prediction?
Because I'm not going to be there, it'll be a nice, comfortable Hearts 4, St Mirren 0 with all those team
Ross
changes.
County.
Sorry,
County.
what did I say?
St Mirren.
Don't know why I said St Mirren. Don't know why.
You back on the vodkas?
No, mate. I've got an early flight tomorrow. I'm dry. Maybe that's the problem.
There you go.
I've just had an internal panic attack because I am pretty sure another person that always scores against Hearts plays for Ross County now, and Eamon Brophy. I believe that he plays for Ross County now. Does he?
Shit, I don't know where he plays now, actually.
Somebody Google it because I changed my score prediction from 4-1 to 4-2 because Jordan White and Eamon Brophy will score on Saturday.
Eamon Brophy. Yes, he plays for Ross County on loan from St Mirren.
Yes. Fantastic.
If it makes you feel any better, though, he wasn't in the squad against Aberdeen.
No, it doesn't make me feel any better.
It might mean what I'm getting at is he might be injured. That's what I'm getting at.
But even injured, they'll come on and score against Hearts. It's just how Hearts are. I would say I think we'll stay with the back four. I would like to see Cochrane come in for Kingsley. I don't think that'll happen, but I would like it to happen. Again, Halliday comes out for Haring, hopefully.
Bollocks, wait a minute. Mikey Smith needs to come out as well. He's going to be injured.
Aye.
Shit.
Atkinson.
I forgot about that. Sorry, carry on.
Atkinson will come in for Mikey Smith anyway.
Yep.
I'm a bit like Kev as well. I would. Why not try Kuhl for the start in a proper game that isn't Rangers at home? See how he gets on. The only thing is he'll be probably up against like Connor Randall or something like that, who will just bully him if he isn't fully at it. But again, I would like to, like I said, I'd like to see something better than Mackay. I wouldn't even waste my time with Barry Mackay on Saturday. But I don't know how these things work. I've got to play Humphreys in the 10 potentially. move George Grant wider. I don't know. I'm just physicality when you play Ross County is going to be massive. Asking Shanklin to win headers and down to Nabday, it's pointless because Barry Mackay's not going to be close enough to win second balls, and it's no Alan Forrest's game either. So getting someone closer to Shanklin that can protect him and actually bring Shanklin into play rather than Shanklin again having to be our centre forward and our number 10. But quote tweet this, or video record it, whatever you want. I am strangely confident that Hearts will put in a performance on Saturday. If they don't, then we are in way bigger trouble than we've ever than we estimate. But I think Hearts will. It's now or never for Hearts. I think you have to kick into gear. You're playing the team that's currently bottom of the league. We've got to win. We've got to. If you can't beat Ross County at home, you don't deserve to finish third. So I'm going to say 4-2. Is my score prediction. Jordan White and Eamon Brophy scoring. You can take that to the bank. That is 100% what will happen at some point. They will score. And that's about it. Do you want to know my other hot takes for the weekend?
Go.
I don't think Hibs will finish in the top 6.
That's fair.
It's not bitter Jambo tears or whatever. They're away to St Johnstone. They've just sacked their manager.
Yep. The manager
Livingston are away to Dundee United. I wouldn't be surprised if Hibs drew with St Johnstone and Livingston won, leapfrogged them. Would be my hot take.
Be marvellous.
And it would just be so Hibs, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Beat us 1 week, gloat for a week, and then finish in the bottom 6.
But then that would mean that Livy are probably going to have to come to Tynecastle, and they're a far stiffer opposition than playing fucking Hibs if we're looking at the running. But we'll take it.
But then
Good
again,
problem to have.
Aye, and if you have any ambition to be the third best team in the country, you have to be able to beat Livingston at home.
100%.
It's just the way the jobby crumbles. Right. Any questions on YouTube or anything?
There's just a couple of other wee comments just chatting along with us, really. No specific questions, but Brophy, it turns out, is injured. Blundetto also wants to point out that Simon Murray plays for them too.
That ginger cunt.
I was hoping that was going to resonate, but I can't think it.
4-3.
Simon
Hearts.
Murray. They used to play for
He played
Hibs.
with Hibs.
Aye, okay,
Aye.
cool.
So
Dale Cassidy.
4-3 to Hearts now.
Okay. Oh, fucking hell, man. This is right. Okay, shut up. Stop saying things before Corbett revises us down to a 6-4 loss.
If someone says that Billy Mehmet plays for Ross County, I'll lose my shit.
Well, actually, I'm not even going to talk about the people scoring against Hearts because I said this before the St Mirren game. Curtis Main will score. I did say that. It's fucking. It came out to be true. So, Ross County aren't even going to score on Saturday.
Well, here's hoping. Anything else before we wrap it up?
Nah, I think we're all good. I think that's it. Nothing else outstanding that I can see.
Well, here's hoping that it's another 6 years before or 5 years before we have to do another one of these podcasts. Let's not make this a habit.
We've got to take some credit, some good points out of this podcast.
Thumbs up.
That is very true.
Let's end on a high.
Let's end on a high. Thanks to everybody on YouTube for joining us. Thanks for interacting. Thanks for all the questions and all that sort of stuff. Genuinely appreciate it. Here's hoping that we have something positive to talk about next Sunday when we podcast. So, see you all later.
Bye for now.
Corgado.